in 2012, but I started my entrepreneurial journey in 2015. My family business at that point, which is into manufacturing and trading of spices and agro commodities, was in talks with a venture capital fund for a merger. And having a finance background, that was the point I thought I need to make the shift now. And that's when I decided to help him out. My company worked very differently from a professional managed company. It was a family managed business, worked very traditionally. Most of my employees had been with us for say more than 10 years, plus 30 years. My father has been a very trusting person and my employees were very, very comfortable working with him. I came in only to look after the mandate, having a finance background. And through the mandate, I learned about the pinto piano of my company, working about how the strategies work and the whole idea behind how each and every department works. We had to and fro meetings with the venture capital fund, and the whole process took over 9 to 11 months. We met them back and forth, went to Bangalore, they came to us, but because of one minute clause, the deal did not go through. This deal was very, very crucial for us because this was the tipping point to going to the next level. It was very, very disheartening. And at that point, my father had a really, really bad setback because he did not see how we would scale up and go ahead. I thought that I would give him a shoulder and join the operations. The first and foremost thing that I learned was sales. So I started sitting with my sales team and I decided that I would get quotations and send them out to our clients. My manager, who was involved with all the operations, he was my father's right hand, and he told me that, hey, why don't you, I'll give you the prices and just send them out to the clients. It's a very male-dominated industry, and I do not suggest you speak to anybody outside. First, I thought he was protecting me and maybe that was the right thing to do. But at once, I thought I'll just call the guy and get some quotations because, we are all smart women and it's not a hard thing to do. But that's when I saw him getting very insecure, which got me very suspicious. What I did is I started probing in further. I looked and I dug inside and then I realized that this guy had made a consortium of people in my company and they were stealing from my company. This was a big, big shocker for us because these people were very, very trusted people. At that point of time came the toughest time of our lives. This guy decided to take our key eminent employees and decided to start their own company. At that point, I realized that I had to grow 10 years overnight. I was just 23, had no experience in business whatsoever, and I had so much responsibility on my shoulders. Times were tough and we were firefighting every single day. What eventually happened is we had no people in sales, and that's when I decided to learn, give quotations, send prices and convert clients. I did not know what export was or what logistics or what are ports and what are CHAs or what are DGFT agents and consultants, but I learned everything overnight. I did not know what finance or export finance was, but I started talking to bankers. We had a deal stuck. I visited RBI, barged in and said, I need a meeting, need to get things done. And I didn't know where I was getting this energy from. I used to work 14 hours a day and still felt hopeless and terrible because nothing was moving forward. I was living constantly in an ocean of stress, anxiety. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, I was thin and I lost more weight. It was difficult. I realized I was sitting in my room and I was envisioning my perfect life and nothing seemed to come together, nor professionally, nor personally. And I realized that I could either dwell in self-pity or I could take this chance and opportunity to overcome my situation. The famous poet Jalaluddin Rumi has said that the wound is the place where the light enters. And I realized that I am going to overcome my situation. I realized that being an entrepreneur, you need to be like a cockroach. You need to be so comfortable crawling through so much shit and just making sure that you don't get killed. I call it the cockroach theory. So that's what we started doing. We were firefighting, we were working hard. Some things worked and some things didn't. I realized through the process that when I was sitting in introspection, nothing seemed to be going in the direction where I still wanted to go. And the real reason behind it, that my main motive to succeed and to grow bigger and get this together, came from anger, came from revenge, and came from hatred that these people cannot touch me. But it did not come from a positive light of I want to create something bigger than myself. I want to create something larger in life. And I had such a negative environment, such a negative attitude, that even small victories made no difference. Small achievements were not celebrated, and I felt that life felt very stagnated. At that point in time, I happened to meet somebody who explained to me the power of forgiveness. She told me that if you do this, this will magically transform your life. I started forgiving my manager and all the key people who left along with him with a pure heart. I thanked him every day that thank you for doing this to me. Thank you for whatever you've done, because I wouldn't have grown so much if you wouldn't have done this. I forgave him with a complete heart, and that is the tipping point when my life turned around. I realized that my goals changed completely. I wasn't operating out of fear. Now I had a renewed sense of passion and energy that I can grow and scale. I started thinking with an abundant mindset. Not that everything worked immediately, but yes, we did move forward. And even though we failed forward. And I'm happy to report now that it's been 2.5 years and we have a great team of young, enthusiastic people. I remember days when I'm going through 2,000 resumes a day to build a whole team which had disappeared. And now we have a great team who are so enthusiastic to grow with us, to build with us. We have great sales, newer products, and the future looks bright. I realized that in the bargain, I became invincible. I had a new, fresh energy, and I grew and matured 10 years overnight. I realized that this whole incident made me a very resilient and a courageous person. Now I can face challenges head on, no matter what comes in. But I learned it a very, very hard way with no support whatsoever. Every entrepreneur, and I'm sure most of y'all can resonate with this, face eminent, like very, very big highs and skyrocketing lows. But at that point, most of y'all feel that we don't have an outlet where we can talk about these ideas. Most times we feel that it's a confidential business issue and I can't speak about it. Most times you feel that, oh, most people around me may not understand my position, so there is no point communicating. And the worst, most people think they'll be judged for making these mistakes. At this point, Ascent came into my life and it turned my life around. I got placed into a trust group of 10 to 12 very, very nice and like-minded entrepreneurs. Through the journey, I realized that most of these entrepreneurs, though have very different backgrounds and come from different industries, face very similar challenges like I did. And I realized that they have now become my support group. I don't take any big decisions, or I do not undergo any new strategy change without consulting them or running it through them. We've gone through rigorous processes where I propose things and they're like, it's rejected. And I realized that yes, I didn't think of this, and I never got a third person outside perspective to these issues. And now I've realized that with this trust group, business has become very easy to do. Apart from just the trust group, like Archana explained, the Ascent has very many different events like the conclave, where we could hear eminent speakers talk about their business stories, and also you meet people from other trust groups and discuss how they work. But the thing that really, really struck a chord with me is they run a mentorship program for their members. And I was privileged enough to get a one-on-one mentoring session with Mr. Harsh Mariwala himself, where he sat down with me and helped me take eminent business decisions, which I felt was nowhere possible for me. And I feel that this platform has given me so much that I encourage each and every one of you to at least go and check it out. I would like to conclude my speech by quoting Mr. Sensei Ekida, who said that, "May you be a woman, though ordinary, somehow stands out and has a beautiful story to tell." I determined to be that woman. Thank you.